first question is from Tara, and that is, who is your groove god? So I had to think about this because I obviously like a lot of music that has a lot of groove in it, and I like a lot of funk and stuff like that. But I would say I was trying to think about the person that like kind of made me really realise what groove was, rather than lots of people who are like their grooves. And I was thinking back, and I think it was like when I was a teenager and the first time I actually listened to Rage Against the Machine, because they were the first band that I realised were able to play around with their groove, and they were able to lay what's called laying right back on the beat, and then in like say the verse or something, and then they were able to then shift the groove and like play slightly ahead of the beat in the choruses and that. And they were the first band I ever noticed that, and they, I guess in a way that really instilled the concept of what a groove was, and then from then on I was hooked on the band as well. And I think, yeah, so I think in a way Rage Against the Machine are the band that are my groove gods, as it were. So yeah, I hope that answers your question, Tara. I think Raj would agree with me as well.
Hello, it's question answer time. Let's do this. Okay, question 1 is from Phil. How do you feel about Marmite? There is a wrong answer. I can do a bit of Marmite, yeah. I wouldn't say I love it. I mean, I like it, but I'm certainly not a hater. I can devour a bit of Marmite on toast when needs be. Yeah.
All right, Darren wants to know if you guys had a well-known musician join Morass Molasses for a tour or to record a song, who would it be, alive or dead? Had a really long, hard think about this one. There's loads of musicians that I would love to play with. Yeah, like Rage Against the Machine, James Brown,
1, 2, 3, 4.
Led Zeppelin, you know, the guys from there. I'd love to be able to perform with all these awesome musicians. However, I don't think any of them fit with Morass of Molasses. We've spent so much time crafting our sound, and each member has very specific roles to play within that band. And I think trying to force someone else who has their own style and their own way of playing and their own sound is just gonna be crap. So, you know, I did want to come up with, you know, something decent that I think would sound good, but I don't think anyone else would sound good. But you know, yeah, it's a really tough question, because like I said, we have crafted our sound and really, you know, focused on what we sound like and what we're meant to do within the band. I just don't think it would work. So, sorry.
Next question is from Darren. This is quite a complicated one. This is a serious question, I'm afraid. What do you think will happen to the music industry with the visa rules and both bands going into and out of the country, and with the recovery from COVID? Will venues and bands make it? Now, I felt like I had to do a little bit of research for this question, Darren, because obviously it's all about what Brexit has done to us as touring musicians, specifically in Europe. And to give you a bit of background, as a band, we haven't actually, as of yet, toured Europe. Now, this is not through want of trying. We actually, you guys probably don't know, but there have actually been 2 times when we actually had European tours booked, and they both fell through. And this was before Brexit. So, as you can see, even before all the problems that have now we will be encountering, it was a precarious thing, you know. Especially, I think, the thing I've heard from other bands is that once you get out there and you tour Europe once, after that point it gets easier. But we hadn't done that yet, so we hadn't actually established ourselves and made all the various contacts and things you need to do like we had in the UK. Anyway, so I went to the sort of the Musicians Union website, and they're quite good on there, and they explain the way it's going to affect us. And it's quite depressing, actually, because it's gone from being a relatively easy thing to sum it up and not make it too boring, the basic thing is we're going to have to get a work permit or a visa to play over there, which we didn't necessarily have to do before. We have to legally now have travel insurance, health insurance, and probably instrument insurance. Obviously, we need a valid passport, but there's all these other new things which are completely because of Brexit. And there's this thing called an ATA Carnet. I have no idea what that really means, but I think it's something to do with the actual instruments that you take over there. And that can cost apparently up to £360. And this is on top of any cost of potentially a visa. And there's various other things that you need to do, like basically musical instrument certificates, all these other sort of documents. Basically, the amount of documents that you're going to need to tour Europe is just exponentially grown and become more complicated. And it's not actually clear whether you will have to do these things for each individual country that you'd want to tour in Europe. So the whole thing has got much more complicated. Now, this is not to say that I don't think people will still try, and we will, I'm sure, when we start getting back into touring, make another attempt to tour Europe. But things have got very much more difficult. I think, musicians are pretty resilient people, so I think we will still give it a go. But it's harder. So yeah, thanks Brexit.
It's a two-parter, this one. Tara asks, how do I feel about the Marmite and peanut butter combo? That's a new thing, isn't it, with the dancing squirrel on the advert, that is. I can't actually have that one because I have a peanut allergy, so I can't have that at all. Marmite, yes. Peanut butter, no.
All right, this one from Catty. If you had to cover an ABBA song, which one would you choose? I would probably pick Man in the Middle, which you can hear now. The reason why I would pick this one is because it's quite different from other ABBA songs. Massive funk vibe, and I think ever since I joined Marassa Molasses, I've had this kind of fascination of wanting to see what stoner, sludgy doom / funk would sound like. So yeah, that is something that I'd love to be able to explore one day. But yeah, that would be the ABBA song I would choose.
Question 3. What's your favourite sandwich? Well, bread, cheese, some sort of meat like ham or bacon. That sounds good to me. I mean, that's like the trifecta of dude food, isn't it? Like meat, cheese, bread. Yeah, I could do that. If we, toast it as well. Toast it. That'd be banging.
Next question. This is from Rob. What's your favourite key signature or tempo? Okay, so I realised that I didn't actually remember all of the key signatures of all the songs for the last album, so I went back through and worked them all out, and basically worked out that I don't know if it's my favourite, but the most common key signature on The Ties That Bind is the key of C minor. That's probably something to do with the tuning that we use, because we tune to C, and minor scales tend to be used in sort of heavier music sometimes, and especially the kind of subject matters I write about, I guess I probably gravitate to minor, which, for those of you that don't know what a minor key is, it's kind of a sad key, is a simple way of explaining it. But there are a couple of songs, 3 songs on the album that veer outside that key, and there's A Stranger, which is E flat minor for anyone that's interested, Death of All is B flat minor, and The Deepest Roots is G minor. So yeah, in terms of the tempo, which is like how fast the song is, the beats per minute, is massively varied. I don't think I have a favourite one. It really, how fast the song is how fast it feels right to both play and to communicate the idea across, and our BPMs vary from everything from 86 beats per minute to way up to 161 beats per minute, so there's no particular favourite tempo. So hope that answers your question, Rob. Okay.
Alright, this one is from Ray. Can you talk about any hip-hop influences, if there are any? Yes, I can. I suppose the main one is probably Rage Against the Machine. more metally hip hop, but I'd consider the drumming very, very hip hop. Brad Wilk has quite a unique playing style. His idea of groove is really, really interesting to me, and I try and explore that as much as I can in my playing, like where things should be swung and where they shouldn't. For those that you don't know, swing is when you intentionally play slightly behind the beat or slightly ahead. And yeah, Brad Wilk is really, really good at that, and does it in really quite creative ways. I do quite like to steal stuff from him.
Question 4 is from Ray. Tell me a cute or funny cat story. Include pictures. Okay, for those of you that don't know, I've got 2 cats. One of them is staring at me right now. They're called Midnight or Midi and Loki. The funnier of the 2 is definitely Loki, because he's a bit special, bless him. The one that really sticks in my head is when he was out hunting where we used to live. There was like a big green and a few trees dotted around, and there was a squirrel sort of at the bottom of a tree, and he fancied having a go at hunting it, basically. So he was down on all fours, hunched forward like that, and tail swishing away, and then he decided to go for the kill. So he ran, and like the squirrel spotted him, jumped up the tree, and then Loki went for him, and the squirrel just went around the other side of the trunk. So there's Loki stuck to the side of the trunk, and the squirrel on the other side, and Loki was like, right, I'm going to follow him. So he sort of clambered round the side, and the squirrel was just like followed him around like that. And that carried on for a few minutes before Loki gave up. But it was hilarious. I really wish I got it on video, because I'd have probably won a lot of money, or it gone viral or something. So you'll have to put up with my crap interpretation thing. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. See you later.
All right. Will wants to know, if I could learn a new instrument, what would it be? It would probably be something bowed, like a violin, or something more world music-y. Ever since I saw the movie Queen of the Damned, which I know isn't a great adaptation, but there's a scene in there where Lestat is walking on a beach, and he comes across a gypsy playing, or gypsies, should I say, playing the violin. And he joins in, and yeah, ever since I heard that, I've kind of really, really liked the instrument, and I would love to be able to play that one day, or something more Eastern. There's an Indian instrument called a taus, which is kind of violin-y in the sense that it's bowed, but it sounds quite different. It has something called sympathetic strings, which are strings that you don't actually bow, but while you bow the strings you're meant to, they vibrate as well, and they give this kind of like drony sound underneath. And I think it's just a beautiful instrument. So yeah, I'd love to play something stringed and bowed.
So yeah, next question is from Phil, and is there a gig, band, record or moment that made you want to be a musician? And this is a good question. Now, some of you that know me and may have hung out with me may have heard this story before, so I apologise in advance, but for those of you that haven't, this is kind of the story of why I'm a musician, and it kind of goes back quite a long way. It goes back to before I even had an instrument or anything, and I was sitting down one day, and my dad would sometimes let me listen to his vinyl, and we were listening to a particular song, and that's a song by a band called Chicago Transit Authority, and it's a song called I'm a Man. While putting the record on and being quite enthusiastic about the record, he retold this story of when he was younger, and when he basically took a Mini, because he's a bit of an engineer, took a Mini and he took the original engine out of it and put an engine in it that was probably too big for the Mini itself. And he told me that he used to listen to this song while in the car. I don't know, it must be an 8-track or something like that. And he used to like rip round like kind of these country lanes driving way too fast. And like he would listen to this particular song by Chicago Transit Authority, and one time when he was kind of driving way too fast, he tried to take a corner and actually totaled his Mini. And for me, the reason this had such a significant effect on me as a young boy was the fact that at this point, I can honestly say I'd never really thought of my dad as cool. He's just your dad. And then all of a sudden he tells this story, and there was something about him telling the story with the music playing in the background and it being about the music. And it just really sort of got me hooked on rock music, and just also, I guess, indirectly in that sort of slightly rebellious sort of sense that you get from rock music as well. And from then on, I kind of wanted some of that. I wanted to listen to more of his records, and also eventually I ended up getting a bass guitar and sort of, dabbling in music. So that was the very beginnings, as it were, of me being a musician. So yeah, I might play a little bit of Chicago Transit Authority in the back of this, just to let people know. So hope that answers your question.